Recipes for technical trading success in Cook's Kitchen.
Why should you care about what NVIDIA revealed to the world this week in gaming, of all things? I have a few reasons. Let's first go to the NVIDIA newsroom and find out how they blew us away this week. So I'm looking at several stories here. The RTX platform, this is like a revolution in their gaming systems. Turing is the name of a new platform. This isn't from from Cologne, Germany. This is a self-driving car. Let's see what's next in the newsroom. Always come to the newsroom to learn what's going on. GeForce is the name of their gaming platform. RTX is the next evolution from GTX. It's faster, it's sexier, it does things with light and shadows that you wouldn't believe. 10 years in the making, really, is what they say they've been working on this. So some of this technology, I didn't even know what it was, like ray tracing and rasterization. But this is amazing stuff with light and shadows and 3D dimensions moving through space. It's revolutionary because when you watch a movie with CGI, it took them months and months of rendering and creating those images to look lifelike. What NVIDIA technology is doing now is making it possible in real time. So that's the big deal, is now you can have an immersive, photorealistic experience in real time while you're playing all these different games. But who really cares? I'm not even a gamer. Why should I care about all this photorealism and CGI and industrial light and magic? Well, I've got two reasons. One, NVIDIA's gaming R&D is creating the foundations of artificial intelligence. And two, artificial intelligence is going to change the world. Let's take a look. All right, here was the article I wrote this week. NVIDIA gaming drives the deep learning AI revolution. And just a couple of highlights. GPU-based deep learning and artificial intelligence technologies are obviously creating entire new industries. To paraphrase the Austrian economist Joseph Schumpeter, NVIDIA is driving creative destruction like no other company right now. And it's driving what is commonly known now as the fourth industrial revolution. Now, gaming is still the biggest part of NVIDIA's business. In the last quarter, $1.8 billion in sales from their gaming hardware, which was 52% growth. But they're also growing their data center business, which is, when you hear data center, also think supercomputer, AI, and that business did nearly $800 million, which was 83% growth. So there is potential here for the AI aspect to catch up to the gaming aspect, but the gaming aspect drives it. So let's dive in. What is a GPU? What is deep learning? And why does it matter for artificial intelligence? All right, so taking a real simple step back here, what is it that makes the GPU chip, which is invented for gaming and has now become central to artificial intelligence? Well, this is the basic difference. The blue multiple cores, that's like your Intel and IBM core processors that can have bottlenecks with information. When you use a GPU chip, it has thousands of cores that process information simultaneously or in parallel, and that creates what is known as massively parallel architecture. All right, and it creates the possibility of a neural network that can learn. Okay, so here's an old slide from an old paper, about 6 or 7 years old. How does a computer recognize an image? There's an Audi on the left. The image comes into the sensors. It goes through several layers of neural networks, and each one of those circles is a node. They're all connected. They talk to each other. They temporally process information, meaning they remember it, and it spits out that it identifies the car as indeed an Audi A7. And by the way, this This old image comes from one of the original papers in what's called machine learning, deep learning. The name of the paper is Unsupervised Learning of Hierarchical Representations with Convolutional Deep Belief Networks. And Andrew Ng from Baidu and Google was part of that. Okay, so I just wanted to show you quickly, what is a neural network? Here's another snapshot of it. This is like the image we saw before was simplified. This is still simplified, but I wanted to show you this because it's got hidden layers, right? You have an input layer, and then you have several hidden layers, but they're all connected. And each one of those circles is a node. We'll remember that node because we're going to come back to that, and then it creates an output layer. Okay, this is one of the simple, no, I shouldn't say simple, but one of the basic units of NVIDIA hardware, a Tesla processor, which this, the card on your right is a little bit bigger than my hand. So figure the one that says Tesla, and nothing to do with Tesla, the car company, that one's about as big as both of your hands. And that unit has 21 billion transistors. So that's the computing power that's in that card. All right, how GPU acceleration works? Well, it works in tandem with the central processors. The GPUs can handle a bunch of parallel processing while the core processors do other grunt work. All right, and you start connecting these GPUs in nodes. Here's an example of 2 GPUs per node, 3 GPUs per node, 4 GPUs per node. And remember the Tesla unit that I showed you, that would be considered 1 GPU. All right, moving along here. Why this matters? These are going in the world's biggest supercomputers. So I'm going to show you recently revealed to be the largest, fastest supercomputer in the world, built by IBM and NVIDIA, who've been partners for a while. And again, it takes the core processors that IBM can build, combined with the GPU chips and processors that NVIDIA builds. And this supercomputer is called Summit. It's at the Department of Energy. Let's take a look. All right. I just summed up a few things on the bottom. This computer has the processing capacity of 122 petaflops. We're going to talk about what a petaflop is in a minute. It has over 4,300 nodes. So remember I showed you what a node was before? So picture 4,300 nodes. Each one of those has 2 22-core IBM Power 9 CPUs and 6 NVIDIA Teslas. So wait a second. If it has, say, 4,300 nodes, and each node has 6 Teslas that I just showed you, that means it's got over 26,000 of those GPU cards in it. And that's exactly what it has, along with the IBM core processors. That is serious deep learning capability. We have no idea what the Department of Energy is doing with it, but there are bigger computers like this in China, and the top 500 list ranks these all the time. All right, what's a flop? A flop is the ability of a computer to do 1 quadrillion floating point operations per second, or 1,000 million million, or 1,000 trillion, however you want to say it. For comparison's sake, Microsoft's Xbox One X gaming system has 6 teraflops, tera meaning trillion, so it can do 6 trillion flops. On a rough comparison basis, a Summit is roughly equivalent to the processing power of over 20,000 Xbox consoles, if they were somehow connected. All right, this is a graphic I show all the time because it shows how NVIDIA has reinvented Moore's Law. All right, Moore's Law sort of leveled off. You can see the blue arc sort of leveled off in this decade. We weren't getting the same bang for our buck with, every 18 months computers, shrinking by half and doubling in power. We lost some of that momentum. NVIDIA believes that they are recreating Moore's Law, reaccelerating it with the advances, and they sort of proved that this week. So this slide that I'm showing you is actually a couple of years old, but they proved it this week with the rollout of the RTX gaming system, the ray tracing system, because nobody thought this was possible. And so Jensen Huang kind of brags that, hey, we rolled this out 10 years early, 10 years earlier than it should have come. All right. So where am I building to here? I'm building to the significance of AI. So we know that NVIDIA R&D, the powerhouse that they are with the gaming stuff, is driving new R&D for artificial intelligence. And we see that, hey, the gaming business may still be their biggest business for quite a few years, but what they're creating, the power tools they're creating for researchers in, just name your industry, but you can think of what they could do in genetics or predictive systems with medicine, medical imaging. Oh my gosh, the stuff they can do now with medical imaging, we're going to be able to predict disease so much faster for humans and the onset with the power of medical imaging. Okay, so I say, imagine what kind of world will it be when computers can write their own software? So this is kind of where we're heading, and I've showed you this book before by Max Tegmark, Life 3.0, and I'm going to recommend his TED Talk in a moment, which is kind of a summary of the 400-page book. But he's on top of this because he says this can go many different directions, what we can do with AI. Obviously, it can be used for harm, and he shows examples of how biological sciences, scientists, professionals in the life sciences, came together in the past decades to make sure that their new technologies, after the genome, would be used for good and not for harm. And he says the same thing needs to be done with AI scientists. So let me show you his TED Talk here. So that's Max Tegmark, MIT physicist. His 15, 17-minute TED Talk basically gives you a great idea of what the book is about and what his appeal is. And he shows this awesome diagram of a fictional geography where the water level is AI. And so things along the coast that AI will soon take over would be things like driving, vision, speech recognition, and games like Go, Jeopardy, chess, anything requiring memorization, maybe translation. You see investment over there. I've talked to some of the guys who are building the algos for automated investing. That's pretty fascinating. And so what would be way up top? What's far out of reach for AI? Book writing, cinematography, art, AI design, programming. Well, look where he's got programming. He's got programming down in the foothills, so to speak. So that's the question I ask. What kind of world do we live in when AI can write its own software? So definitely find this video. His name is Max Tegmark, Tegmark. I believe the TED Talk is titled How to Be Empowered by AI, not Overpowered by AI. And but if you just search Tegmark, you'll find him. I had a couple other notes here. Oh, so as I wrote that article this week, because let me just step back. Last week I said, after earnings, NVIDIA stock went down. And I said, don't worry, people, because we own it in a portfolio here. I said, hey, wait till next week. Just wait for it because of what Jensen Huang and company are going to roll out at the gaming conference in Cologne, Germany. And they did not disappoint. And the stock is racing back up to the old highs near 269. So dipped to 240 on Monday. I always tell my people, buy it under 240. And you've got one chance on Monday, just before Jensen started talking. And the stock looks due to make new highs here soon. So and when I watched what he's doing with gaming and the stuff that they rolled out, just amazing stuff, where they can build a supercomputer, but then they can give you a piece of it to supercharge gaming. I knew that this is what's driving their R&D in AI. And then I found something on their website today. The way they sum it up is there's an intersection of three things going on that make them the leaders of the fourth industrial revolution. And it's high performance computing, HPC, you see that all the time, virtual reality, and AI. And now virtual reality is like the ultimate in image creation, right? You bring those things together, and the revolution just keeps going. So this is this is why the gaming revolution is so significant, because of the R&D that it gives NVIDIA and allows them to keep cranking out just incredibly high performance computing machines for industry, for research, for science, and hopefully to make life better for all of us. But watch Tegmark's TED Talk, because he'll give you the warnings that he wants, that he, as a physicist, as a researcher in AI, he wants to give the warning, just like an Elon Musk would. This is where it can go wrong, and this is what we need to do to choose the future we want to create with AI. All right, thanks for joining me in the kitchen.